Do you guys remember in The Matrix when Neo comes unplugged and he's just like, I know Kung Fu? Well, the Denver Broncos have a guy in the front office, our capologist, who knows crazy NFL salary cap Kung Fu. He is about to build this team out to contend for the playoffs next year. We're going to break that down in this video and so much more. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben, and this channel has grown way faster than I ever would have guessed, and it's all because of you engaging in the comments. I love reading all of them. And when I say something totally dumb or something like relatively smart, you all call me on it. And I just love reading your comments and am super appreciative to all of you for subscribing. So let's dive into the news of the day. And that is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Denver time, which what other time is there, right? Other than Mountain Standard Time. But tomorrow at 9 a.m., Sean Payton is going to address the media for the very first time since the postseason press conference. And there is a lot of news that is going to come out of that, specifically about what are the Denver Broncos going to do with free agency. Who are we going to target? What positions are we going to target? Who are we bringing back? What negotiations are we attempting to do? What guys are we going to cut? Who are we looking at closely positionally in the NFL Combine, which is converging right now in Indianapolis as we speak and record? And obviously there will be massive, big zinger questions going to Sean Payton about the infamous Brandon Marshall and Russell Wilson interview, which I talked about last night, and I will just give a recap of that at the very end. If you're tired of that conversation, you can just turn it off when I get to that point. But let's look at the news of the day, and that is how the Denver Broncos can free up $60 million in cap space without letting any people we absolutely love on this team go. So we talked last week about the fantastic news because of these streaming services, streaming playoff games, because of attention going to screens, because of Taylor Swift, because of YouTube TV, making it way easier to buy Sunday Ticket than getting DirecTV. The salary cap has greatly increased, which means George Payton's job is a lot easier because we were staring down the barrel at $23 million over the cap, and that just cut that chunk down dramatically. And what we've seen here through some great work at the folks at 104.3 The Fan, especially like we got Cecil Lammy and Andrew Mace, who've done a great job there breaking down just some different information about how the Denver Broncos could be in this first wave of free agency by making just a couple restructuring and renegotiation. So one of the ways that you can navigate the salary cap is you can offer restructures to a player. So if a player is owed $15 million and that's the cap hit, you could give them all $15 million of that in a signing bonus and then spread it out over how many years are left on their deal. So that's called a restructure, and you could do a restructure and extending that over an even longer period of time. But that is one of the tools in the arsenal of a wealthy owner like we have, obviously with the Walton Penner Group. Now the Walton Penner Group is going to make that money back. There's still a real chance that we are going to see new uniforms. That has to be announced by the NFL draft, but we still have several weeks before that. And the rumor mill on that is very strong, but even just rolling out new uniforms, we're all going to go, we need the newest jersey, right? So that's a way you can make back that money super quick. Selling playoff tickets, that's a way you make back that money really quick. But let's look here at the different moves that the Denver Broncos could do to get $60 million under the cap. Now, when you're $60 million under the cap, Danielle Hunter is on the market. You got Josh Allen on the market. You got Queen, the linebacker from Baltimore, is on the market. You got Saquon Barkley on the market. Like, you can do so much. So let's look at here what they are projecting may happen, the cap room that could clear up. And again, all of this happening without us losing someone that you're like, oh no. So let's look here. So the first thing that we could do is that there are some players that we could automatically restructure. And that's what I was saying, where you just give them a huge signing bonus in cash, spread that out over the life of the deal. So we got Zach Allen, the dude we got from the Cardinals who Vance Joseph loves. He was kind of pitched to us as like a baby J.J. Watt. He played with J.J. Watt, and there were times with the Cardinals where he looked like unstoppable. He came on in a couple games. I would hate to see him go, so I like this idea. Mike McGlinchey, first-round pick, very, very healthy, very, very stable. Again, we could restructure him. Ben Powers, same thing. We could restructure them. So all of this here, we structure those three dudes, we save ourselves $27 million on the cap. So we were about 16 over the cap. Next thing we could do is we could either trade trade Courtland Sutton or restructure him. And obviously we would save more money by trading him or releasing him. Releasing Courtland Sutton would make me livid. I've loved him. I think he just keeps getting better as he's come back from injury. And, a lot of us had those high hopes of how he looked with Drew Lock, and then he had that catastrophic knee injury. Had a rough first year with Nathaniel Hackett, but everyone was saying that was a 2-year knee injury. And the Courtland Sutton we saw last year with some of the coolest catches we've ever seen, that's the Courtland Sutton I think we are going to have next year. And irregardless of who plays at quarterback, we want to have a great receiver for them to throw jump balls up to. So I would love to see us restructure, not trade him. But if we trade him, it saves us almost $10 million on the cap, whereas if we restructure him and give him that bonus, it saves us almost $6 million on the cap. The only person in this whole scenario that we could who we can't restructure to save cap money, and that's because he's on a 5th-year option. One of the real huge advantages to drafting a great player in the first round as opposed to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round is that first round players get to have what is called a 5th-year option, which means that even though they probably should be making a lot more money with a new deal, you actually get to pay them for a 5th year on that old deal. So that is why Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Bills, was such a great deal. That is why Lamar Jackson, it was such a big deal that Baltimore got him at 31 rather than getting him at 41. He maybe still was on the board, but by having him at 31, you give him that 5th-year option. So the Denver Broncos, if they strike with a quarterback in this draft, you would hope it's in the first round, because then you get 5 years of paying him on that rookie deal, as opposed to needing to all of a sudden by the 4th year give him a big mega deal. So we cannot restructure Jerry Jeudy because this is that 5th year. So if we want salary cap help from Jerry Jeudy, we would have to trade him. We've heard about multiple suitors. The highest rumor that I have heard that we could fetch for Jerry Jeudy would be a 3rd-round draft pick, and that was the rumor, I believe, to the New England Patriots, was that the Patriots wanted him before, and another rumor is that the Bengals might want him, although they just franchise tagged another wide receiver, so perhaps they have that position set. But trade Jerry Jeudy and save yourself $13 million on the cap, and so I would say the Denver Broncos would be inclined to do that, especially if they're running it back with Russ. We know that Jerry Jeudy's skill set is most in line with a precision on-time passer, not someone who relies on the double spin out, which I'm not dogging Russell Wilson, but hitting a dude in stride off of his first cut, his first read, that's not his forte. So trading Jerry Jeudy, very, very possible. Next thing, and we see this corroborated by not only Andrew Mason or Mace and Cecil Lammey, but also Mike Kliss of the Denver Post said there's a pretty good chance that we will cut Tim Patrick. While he has been a leader, and it was awesome to see him on the sideline even those last couple games, he has just not stayed healthy over these years, and it's a not for a long league. And so I think there's a pretty good chance that he will be cut, and then perhaps he takes a vet minimum to be back with us. And then DJ Jones, again, release or trade to save up $9 million there, or extend him for $6 million in saving. Then I think the big thing would be extend Justin Simmons. We saw he was the honorary captain at the HBCU Honor Bowl game there, talked about how he wants to be a part of this team going forward, and just did not make any types of hedging that he's not going to be here. So I imagine that we save $10 million by extending him, and I hope we do that. And then similarly, we do the same thing. We extend Garrett Bulls. We could release or trade him for $5 million in additional savings. But essentially, by doing the bulk of those things, we could clear up $64 million in cap space, which is crazy to go from, we're $23 million under, or we're $23 million over, and now we fluctuate to $64 million under, which gives you the leverage to easily look at some of our internal free agents. I love PJ Locke. I think letting him go would be a huge mistake, and I love Josie Jewel. So unless we're going to get Queen from Baltimore, I hope we get Josie Jewel back. And you could get two of these guys and then still have the type of cap space to bring in a big name other person like a Danielle Hunter, who most estimates are saying he will be a $14 million cap hit. And if we can give the bulk of that again in signing bonus and sign him to be a Bronco for life, that could even be smaller than that. So we could make a big splash in free agency and then maybe one other little move. So all of that is super exciting. The fact of the matter is the Denver Broncos did not give up on this season, even after 70-point drubbing to the Miami Dolphins. They didn't give up on this season when they lost some heartbreaking games, and they changed the culture. They increased their wins by 3 games, had a better record than we've had in like a half of a decade. And I think all of that, all signs are pointing up, up, up. My last thoughts here on the reflection after watching the entire Brandon Marshall, Russell Wilson interview. Loved Brandon Marshall as an interviewer. He did fantastic. It's pretty odd to see you go from being like a NFL player to then being a decent interviewer like he was. That's a huge skill set, and he did fantastic with that. And I think my big takeaways haven't changed, and that is I was so high on Russell Wilson. I ran around my house screaming when we got him. I thought he was taking us to the playoffs, and I couldn't have been more excited as I bought his jersey for myself, for my son, as I circled every Broncos game and canceled plans to watch it. Like I thought he was going to take us back, that he was going to be the best quarterback we'd had since Peyton Manning. And we paid him like he was a top 5 quarterback. And unfortunately, Russell Wilson, I just do not think can lead a team to the playoffs when he is the highest paid quarterback. I think had he done something like Peyton Manning had done, even Peyton Manning, the sheriff, took a $10 million pay cut his last year in Denver to win a Super Bowl. We've heard Tom Brady famous for that time and time and time again. He didn't take the max money. Drew Brees didn't do it. Rob Gronkowski didn't do it. Larry Fitzgerald didn't do it. And that's the type of player I think Russell Wilson, I don't fault him for that whatsoever. Like it's his own decision what to do with the money, but the Denver Broncos just couldn't win with him as the highest paid player. And I think that's really what it all comes down to. I know I'm never going to make everybody happy on here. I was just reacting to my thoughts on that in real time. But as now is tradition over the past 3 videos, I shall attempt this half-court shot for $1 trillion. Thank you all for riding with me. This has been an absolute blast. Cannot wait for the combine this week. And Broncos country, let's giddy up. Oh, the ceilings in here are... Did a guy hit my